The wind rattles the bare branches outside my window, and a lone street lamp flickers on and off, casting a sporadic glow against the curb. It's dusk, and I'm holed up in my car, parked on the far side of our driveway, just staring at my phone. My name is Richard Dawson. Friends call me Rick. And I'm a 45-year-old logistics manager who used to believe life had a predictable rhythm. You do your job, keep your head down, make an honest living, come home to your wife, and call it a day. That was the reality I subscribed to until about 10 minutes ago. I just returned from the office, exhausted after a soul-crushing planning meeting, ready to drop my briefcase by the door and sink into the couch. My greatest ambition was to flick on the TV and zone out to a baseball game. But as soon as I stepped out of the car, I heard it. Laughter. Except it wasn't just any laughter. It was Catherine's, my wife's, accompanied by a deeper voice, one I didn't recognize. A raw, intimate timbre that sent a jolt through my veins. I crept around the side of the house, wincing every time a fallen leaf crackled beneath my feet. The curtains to our living room were partially open. I saw two silhouettes moving in a dance that was anything but innocent. Her hair. I knew its shape, the curve of her waist. I'd memorized it. And there, pressed against her, was another man. He had his hands on her hips. She arched against him in a slow, taunting sway. My heart lurched. I should have shouted, stormed in, demanded an explanation. Instead, I froze, watching like some helpless bystander in my own life. When he leaned down to kiss her, I lost my balance and nearly toppled backward. The half-breath that escaped my mouth must have alerted them, because Catherine jerked her head toward the window. In that hazy glow, I caught a glimpse of her eyes, wide, alarmed, like a startled deer. But then I saw her lips curve in something that looked almost like a smirk. For a second, I thought I was hallucinating. I ducked low and sidled away, deciding I couldn't face her in the moment. I retreated to the car, heart pounding a million beats a minute. My stomach knotted itself into a tight coil as I replayed the scene in my mind. Her body melded with his, her fingers trailing across his shoulders in that familiar, intimate gesture I used to think was mine alone. The image seared itself into my mind like a brand. Each detail as vivid as if I were still standing there, eyes glued to the window. Now, I stare at my phone like it might give me answers. Should I call someone? Who would I call? My parents? My sister Danielle? Or maybe just one of my old college buddies? Hey man, I'd say, turns out my wife is in there having sex with a guy in my living room. The words alone sound absurd, but the shock coursing through me is all too real. I can't breathe properly. Each inhale feels ragged, like there's a vise around my chest. When I finally muster the courage to move, I decide I can't hide out forever. My heart thrashes as I walk up to the door. Every footstep resonates through my ears. Crunch, crunch, crunch. I open the door and step inside. The house is quiet. Too quiet. A faint trace of perfume lingers in the hallway, mixing with a whiff of cologne I don't recognize. It's darker than usual. Only the small lamp by the couch is on. And there's no sign of her. No sign of him. As if they vanished into thin air. Catherine. My voice comes out in a wavering hush. Rick. She appears at the top of the stairs, wearing a silky robe, hair tousled, cheeks flushed. My nails dig into my palms. You're home early. There's a crack in her usually smooth tone. She's trying to sound casual but can't fully mask the tremor. Yeah, left the office a bit early, I say, forcing my mouth to form words while my mind screams accusations. Wasn't feeling great. My throat constricts around the lie. In the corner of my eye, I check for any trace of that man. A jacket tossed over a chair, a pair of shoes by the door. Nothing. Just the hum of the heating system and the near-silent tension slicing the air. We stand there, facing each other like strangers. I'm itching to confront her, to fling the anger building in my chest straight into her face. But I hold back, paralyzed by fear, confusion, heartbreak. The resentment churns behind my rib cage. She adjusts her robe, her eyes flicking from me to the living room, and back again. I swallow. Where is he? The question spills out before I can stop it. Catherine's lips thin. He left. The softness in her voice chills me more than if she'd shouted. Rick, I raise a hand, cutting her off. Don't. Not right now. My own voice trembles, and I hate how vulnerable I sound. All the complexities of 15 years of marriage press in on me. Do I want an explanation? Do I want details? Part of me wants to bury this memory, pretend I never saw it. Another part of me wants to torch everything. A million impulses tear at my gut, and I don't know which one to heed. She descends the stairs slowly, each step measured like she's approaching a wounded animal. Maybe she thinks I'll snap. Maybe she's right. I can feel my adrenaline spiking, my mind jumping from heartbreak to rage and back again. She reaches the bottom step and extends a hand. Rick, can we what, Kate? My voice cracks. Can we talk about how you were letting some guy put his hands all over you on our couch? Or maybe how I saw your face, saw you enjoy it. Her eyes glisten, tears, or maybe just guilt shining in the dim light. It's not what you think. Don't insult me. I snap, teeth clenched. My hands clench, too, forming fists at my sides. I know exactly what I saw. She flinches. Let's go to the kitchen. We can talk there. She tries to keep her voice gentle, a negotiation tactic she's used 1,000 times when smoothing out an argument. Normally, I cave. Not this time. There's nothing to talk about. I say, though my legs trail after her anyway, as if they're on autopilot. We pass through the hallway, the sense of betrayal thick in the air. Each step echoes in my ears like a funeral dirge. The kitchen is dim, the only light coming from an overhead bowl that creates harsh shadows on the walls. She fiddles with the switch, turning on the main light to chase away the darkness, but it feels like we're still enveloped in gloom. She moves to the island, placing her palms on the cool granite, as if drawing strength from it. I hover near the sink, leaning against the counter. She starts to talk, voice low and trembling. He's just a friend. Friends don't do that. I interrupt, my glare sharp. I saw how you looked at him. Her lips part, but no words come out. A tear escapes down her cheek. I'm sorry, she finally says. Sorry you did it, or sorry I saw. The bitterness in my question slaps the silence. She presses her eyes shut, tears shimmering on her lashes. I don't know, Rick. I've been lonely. It just happened. Adrian, he showed me attention I wasn't getting at home. And tonight, it got out of hand. My lungs ache with every breath. Her words dig deep, an accusation swirling within them. That I'm at fault for not noticing her discontent. And maybe she's right. I've been distant. We've had a gulf between us. But this? You have no idea how humiliating. I begin, voice cracking on the last word. A wave of dizziness hits me. My own living room, my wife, another man. The betrayal seeps into my veins, turning my limbs heavy. How long, Kate? She grimaces. A few months. Months. That word reverberates through my skull. Months of stolen rendezvous, flirty messages, maybe more nights in my house. My stomach roils with nausea. My voice emerges in a rough whisper. Did you? In our bed. She hesitates, and that half-second of pause is all the answer I need. The betrayal radiates like a physical blow. I suck in a breath, feeling on the verge of collapse. I lash out, fist pounding the counter. The sound reverberates through the empty space. She flinches, stepping back. Rick, please. It was just once in our bed. Stop. My anger surges, chasing off the dizziness. You had sex with him. In our bedroom, where we shared our lives for 15 years. My voice thrums with rage, loud enough to rattle the night's stillness. She collapses onto a bar stool, covering her face with trembling hands. I never wanted to hurt you. Congratulations, I say bitterly. You've gone and done it anyway. Her shoulders quake under the tension, but I can't bring myself to comfort her. I feel raw, gutted. My pulse hammers so hard I half expect my heart to burst. The next words I speak sting my own ears. Get out. Her head snaps up. What? I jab a finger toward the door. I can't look at you. I can't do this. Go stay at a friend's, a hotel. I don't care. I need space. My voice trembles with barely contained fury. My soul begs for distance from her, from everything that now feels tainted. She starts to protest, but the lethal glare in my eyes stops her. Silently, she pushes away from the counter, crosses the kitchen with unsteady steps, and disappears up the stairs. A part of me wants to call her back. Demand she face my wrath, or maybe I just need answers. Another part wants her gone so I can break down in peace. I slump against the sink, anger and sorrow waging war inside me. The quiet hum of the refrigerator is the only sound left. My phone buzzes in my pocket. Without thinking, I fish it out. It's a text from Danielle, my sister, asking if everything's okay because I never responded to some earlier message. For a moment, I consider telling her everything. But I can't. Not now. I shove the phone back into my pocket. Minutes pass. Upstairs, I hear Catherine rummaging, presumably packing a bag. A door slams. Her footsteps pass behind me in the hallway. But I don't turn around. The front door opens and closes, and just like that, she's gone. My wife, who only an hour ago I still believed was faithful, devoted mine. I stand in the empty kitchen, eyes fixed on the polished granite countertops. The house is silent except for the faint ticking of the old grandfather clock in the living room. If I inhale deeply, I swear I can still catch the scent of that man's cologne drifting through my home. A metallic bitterness coats my tongue. I realize I'm in shock. The next few minutes go by in a blur. I head to the couch, the same couch where I saw them together. I hover there, torn between disgust and heartbreak. In a rage, I yank the cushions off and toss them onto the floor, hoping that if I dismantle something, anything, I can regain a shred of control. Finally, I collapse onto the bare frame of the couch, bury my face in my hands, and let out a strangled breath. I'm not much of a crier, never have been. But tonight, the tears come unbidden. They track hot against my skin, accompanied by gasping sobs that tear from my throat. It's a painful, shameful symphony, but it's all I have left. I think of the years we spent building this life, the mortar of memories, the foundation of trust. I think of the day I married her, the curve of her smile, the warmth in her eyes. The heartbreak cracks me open, piece by piece. And now, everything is upside down, torn apart in a single evening. I sit there, forcing myself to breathe, forcing myself not to fall into complete despair. My mind conjures the image of her body entwined with his, and my fists clench again. If only I could unsee it. If only I could erase that memory. The clock keeps ticking. Eventually, I manage to get up and shuffle to the bedroom. Without flipping on the light, I peer at the bed. My bed. Our bed. Shadows swallow the details, but the knowledge of what happened, there is enough to make me recoil. I back out, deciding I can't sleep here tonight. I end up in the spare bedroom, feeling like a stranger in my own home. Clutching a blanket around my shoulders, I stare at the ceiling. No illusions remain. This is real. She cheated on me, right here, in the house where we shared laughter, arguments, holiday dinners, and every dream we once had. My heart feels like a dead weight. Tomorrow, I'll wake up and face the aftermath. But for now, I succumb to the smothering darkness, with bitterness and heartbreak searing my veins. And so ends the day that turned my world upside down. I wake to a dull ache in my temples. For a moment, hazy disorientation clings to me. Why am I in the spare bedroom? Then reality slams back. My wife is gone, having spent the night who knows where, likely blaming me for pushing her out, ignoring the fact that she violated our marriage vows. My chest tightens at the thought, resentment warring with a twisted longing. I don't even know where to begin untangling these emotions. Climbing out of bed, I wander into the kitchen. It looks the same, though the atmosphere feels stripped of warmth. I catch a glimpse of my reflection in the window. A man with unkempt hair, dark circles under his eyes, hollow expression. It's me, only older than I remember, haunted by betrayal. The day drags on in slow motion. At work, I shuffle through paperwork, nod at coworkers who ask if I'm feeling under the weather. I can't focus on logistics reports, not when my brain replays that scene of Catherine pressed against another man. My phone buzzes sporadically with messages. One from her, "We need to talk. Let's meet tonight." Another from Danielle, "Call me ASAP. I'm worried." I respond to neither. Instead, I bury myself in tasks, trying to outrun the flood of images and questions. Did she love him? Or was it just lust, a fling? Why wasn't I enough? Did I miss the signals, or did she hide them too well? Later that evening, after enduring a cluttered mind the entire day, I relent. I text Catherine. "Let's meet at home, 7 p.m. She replies almost immediately. "I'll be there." My pulse stutters at the confirmation. At 6:50, I'm pacing the living room. The sun sets outside, bathing the walls in a golden haze that gradually dims. The silence is suffocating. Then headlights sweep across the front window. A car door slams, my heart hammered all day, and now it threatens to bust through my ribs. She enters with cautious steps. She's wearing a simple blouse and jeans, not her usual polished look. Her eyes skim the living room, lingering on the cushions I threw around last night. I never bothered to put them back. She folds her arms, as though trying to hold herself together. "Rick," she begins, voice subdued. "I'm so sorry. About everything." I inhale, trying to steady the tremor in my voice. "Why, Kate? Why him? Why this?" She shifts her weight. I don't have a neat answer. I felt neglected, I guess. Insecure. Adrian made me feel wanted. My jaws clench. Wanted. Right. She steps closer, tentatively resting a hand on the back of a chair. "It started after that fundraiser last spring. You were so busy at work, so exhausted every night. I needed something. Connection, excitement, I don't know. Adrian and I crossed paths at an event I was helping plan. He was charming. We got drinks, and one thing led to another." My knuckles tighten. One thing led to another. For months, apparently. I stare at her face, seeking remorse, honesty. "How many times?" "Rick, does it matter?" "Yes," I practically growl. "It matters." She swallows hard. A handful. Less than 10. But more than once. I release a ragged exhale, head spinning. A few months of secret rendezvous, stolen kisses, nights spent with him. The betrayal slashes deeper with every passing second. I can't stop picturing them in my bed. "You realize how badly this hurts, right?" Her voice wavers. "Of course I do. I hate myself for it." She steps closer, tears threatening. "I want to fix this, if possible. I'm willing to do whatever you need. Therapy, counseling, talking, anything." My eyes narrow. I can't just pretend nothing happened. I'm not sure I even want to try. Pain etches her features. I know, but I'm asking for a chance. Part of me wants to fling every vile word I can muster in her face. Another part, the more collected side, wonders if we can salvage 15 years of marriage. The conflict roils inside me, a seesaw of rage and confusion. "You'll cut him off?" I ask, voice shaking. "No more contact." She nods. "Yes, I already did. Blocked his number." I step back, needing distance. The couch is an ugly reminder, so I sink into a nearby armchair. My mind sifts through possibilities. Therapy, separation, divorce. My eyes flick over to her left hand, She's still wearing her wedding ring. It glints under the lamp, mocking me. She edges around the room, carefully lowering herself onto the far end of the couch. We're both perched on furniture, separated by a chasm of betrayal. I understand if you hate me, she whispers. I don't hate you, I say, though my voice is hollow. I'm just broken. Time passes in a tense silence. Outside, a dog barks. A car engine hums by. Life goes on, oblivious to the meltdown in my living room. Finally, I stand. I need time to think. I tell her, voice cold. Stay here if you want. Or go. I don't care tonight. She blinks, tears welling up again. Rick, I raise a hand. Enough. I can't do this right now. My entire body vibrates with stress. Turning on my heel, I head upstairs. The bedroom door slams behind me with a jolt. I press my forehead to the wood, breathing in and out. Calm. I need calm. My phone chirps in my pocket. It's a text from Danielle. Picking you up for dinner tomorrow. Don't argue. With a sigh, I type back. Fine. At least dinner with my sister might give me a momentary reprieve from this madness. Downstairs, the silence thickens, broken only by the faint rustle of Catherine's movement. I'm not sure if she'll stay the night. My feelings oscillate so violently I can't track them. Anger, grief, numbness, a flicker of pity for her, then more anger. Eventually, I drift to sleep alone, curled on top of the comforter, fully clothed. Dreams plague me. Images of her and Adrian locked in passionate embraces, their laughter echoing as I stand helplessly on the outside. I jerk awake several times, gasping. The clock reads 3:00 a.m. at one point, then 5:00 a.m. This insomnia tears at my sanity. When morning finally comes, I shuffle downstairs, bracing myself. The house is quiet. A note on the coffee table. I'm sorry. I'll give you space. She's gone. Again, I stare at the note until the letters blur. My life used to be so orderly. Now it's a cracked mirror. I can't recognize the reflection. I pull out my phone. The impulse to text her surges. Instead, I open the messages from Danielle. Dinner tonight. I remind myself, forcing normalcy. Maybe that's all I can manage right now, small steps to stay upright in the midst of heartbreak. Dinner with Danielle is at a cozy bistro near the city's edge. The lights are soft, the chatter subdued. She orders a glass of Merlot, and I follow suit with a whiskey neat. I have a feeling I'll need something stronger than wine. How are you holding up? Danielle asks gently, eyeing the dark circles under my eyes. She has a knack for reading my every unspoken thought. I shrug, swirling the amber liquid in my glass. I feel like the rug's been yanked out from under me. She nods, sympathy shining in her gaze. Cake messed up. No excuses. The question is, what do you want to do now? The million-dollar question. My brain conjures a dozen possibilities. File for divorce, talk it out, punish her, or bury my head in the sand. Each scenario triggers a fresh wave of conflict. I'm not sure, I admit. It's like there's a war inside me. One side wants to cling to what we had, another side wants to destroy everything connected to her. Danielle inhales sharply, hesitating before speaking. If you want my advice, don't make any rash decisions tonight, but also don't let her walk all over you. You deserve better. I grunt in agreement, even as my heart slumps in my chest. Just then, my phone buzzes. A text from Catherine. Can we talk? I'm at the bistro's parking lot. I saw your car. My pulse picks up. Did she follow me here? I show Danielle the message. She frowns. What the hell is she doing here? Are you okay if I step away? I clench my jaw, feeling the old resentment flare. But curiosity wins. Yeah. I'll go see what she wants. Danielle pays for our drinks, urging me to call if things escalate. We part ways at the entrance. She disappears into her car and drives off, leaving me under the dim glow of the bistro's lamps. I spot Catherine standing near a sleek black sit-in. Hands clasped, shoulders tense, I stride over, the crisp night air searing my lungs. We stand face to face, a mere foot of space between us. She's trembling slightly, or maybe it's just the chill of the evening. "What are you doing here?" I ask in a clipped tone. Her eyes brim with desperation. "I needed to see you, to talk." I stiffen. "You're crossing lines, Kate." She shakes her head. "I know. But please, hear me out." She glances around, as if worried someone is eavesdropping. "Adrian's been texting me. He says you threatened him somehow. I don't know what's going on." A spark of cold satisfaction flickers inside me. Yes, I did send Adrian a terse message. Something like, "Stay away from my wife, or there will be consequences." I won't apologize for that. But hearing her mention his name ignites my anger again. So what if I did? I snap. He deserves worse. She closes her eyes. "Look, I ended it. He got clingy. He thinks I'll leave you for him. He's threatened to show up at the house again. I'm scared, Rick." I stare at her, searching for any sign of deception. Her lips quiver, her eyes shine with real fear. Despite my anger, a protective instinct stirs. "What do you expect me to do about it?" Her breath catches. "Help me. If he shows up again, tell him we're done. We're working on our marriage. That I don't want him." She falters, tears sliding down her cheeks. "I'm so ashamed, Rick." I rake a hand through my hair, exhaling sharply. The memory of her cheating is still raw, but there's a savage satisfaction in the thought that Adrian is no longer the confident suitor. Now he's desperate, out in the cold. A swirl of vengeance floods my veins. "Fine," I say, voice low. "But if he crosses me again, I'll make sure he regrets it." She looks oddly relieved, though tears still mar her face. "Thank you." She reaches out, maybe to touch my arm, but I recoil. The pain is still too fresh. "I'm not doing this for you," I mutter. "I'm doing it for me. I won't have him thinking he can just waltz back into my life." She nods mutely, stepping aside as I move past her. I feel a rush of grim purpose fueling me. If Adrian wants to play games, he's chosen the wrong opponent. That night, I lie awake, plotting. My mind replays every humiliating detail, but also conjures a plan. A way to strip Adrian of his power, make him regret interfering in my marriage. The bitterness inside me morphs into a fierce resolve. The next day, I call in a favor from an old friend who works in corporate hospitality, someone with connections at the hotel where Adrian is employed. The conversation is careful, subtle. I mention that a certain employee has been causing trouble, fraternizing with a married client, crossing professional boundaries. Nothing directly incriminating, just seeds of doubt. My friend seems concerned, promises to keep an eye out. By the time I hang up, my heart thumps with a twisted sense of triumph. I also set up an appointment with a lawyer, just to learn my options. I'm not yet sure if I'll file for divorce, but I want to be ready. Knowledge is power. Every step I take arms me with a sense of control, something I lost the moment I saw them together. In the afternoon, Catherine texts me that Adrian showed up at her friend's place, demanding to see her. She threatened to call the police, and he backed off. She's rattled, begs me to meet her. I agree, more out of curiosity than compassion. She's waiting in a busy cafe, seated in a corner booth. When I arrive, she looks up with eyes heavy from lack of sleep. "I'm sorry," she whispers for the 1,000th time. "He won't leave me alone. I need you to help me put an end to this." I lean forward, gaze intense. "You started this. I'm only finishing it." My words slice the air with finality. Her phone buzzes. She shows me a text from Adrian. "Catherine, we had something real. Don't let Rick manipulate you." My jaw tightens. "Give me your phone." Hesitating, she hands it over. I type a reply. "Stay away or I'll involve the authorities." Then I block his number. She watches, her posture sagging in relief. That's that, I say, returning the phone. If he comes near you again, we file a restraining order. Understood. She nods mutely, tears glistening on her lashes. Rick, I don't deserve your help. You don't. I agree flatly, rising from my seat. But I'm doing this because I want to, not because you deserve it. I toss a few dollars on the table for my coffee and leave. Outside, the wind bites at my cheeks, but an odd sense of calm washes over me. My plan is in motion. I'll protect my interests. Then I'll decide the fate of my marriage on my terms. Adrian is just the first piece in the puzzle of my vengeance, and Catherine. She'll find out soon enough what it means to betray me. I stare at the divorce papers on my kitchen table. My lawyer said they're airtight. Everything from asset division to potential spousal support meticulously outlined. The final step is to sign. A simple flick of a pen, and I officially cut ties with Catherine Dawson. But first, I need to see the final act of my plan unfold. A week has passed since our confrontation at the cafe. Catherine's behavior is subdued, almost meek around me. She's anxious, probably sensing the change in my demeanor. I haven't asked her to move back in, but she's been staying in the spare bedroom while we sort through the mess. We walk around each other like wary cats, avoiding direct contact. She's asked for forgiveness, tried to start heartfelt conversations, but I keep her at arm's length. I, meanwhile, have methodically escalated my quiet sabotage against Adrian. Word through the grapevine is that management at his hotel is investigating complaints about personal misconduct. The official inquiry came down yesterday. My friend told me Adrian was blindsided, forced to defend himself against accusations of improper fraternization with a client. He's on the verge of losing his job, all thanks to a few well-placed whispers. It's not illegal. It's me using the system to ensure he faces consequences. Around 7 p.m., my phone rings. An unknown number. I pick up, half expecting a telemarketer. Instead, Adrian's voice seethes across the line. You think you can destroy me, ruin my career. My pulse kicks, but I keep my voice steady. I warned you. You're messing with the wrong guy, he snarls. I'll come for you, for your wife. Go ahead. I interrupt, venom lacing my tone. See where it gets you. Then I hang up. My heart thuds, adrenaline surging. But there's also a grim satisfaction in hearing his desperation. That same evening, Catherine walks into the living room, wringing her hands. Adrian called me, she says quietly. He said you're trying to get him fired. I glance up from the blank TV screen, remote limp in my hand. He's brought this on himself. Her voice quavers. Rick, you're better than this. I rise from the couch, stepping toward her. Better than what? Defending my life, my marriage, after you both spat on it. My voice pitches dangerously low. She recoils, tears in her eyes. I know I deserve your anger, but... Stop. I hold up a hand. You set this in motion. I'm just finishing it. The finality in my voice hushes her. She stares at me, eyes brimming with regret. In that moment, I see a flicker of realization. She's lost her leverage. The man she used to cheat on me is about to crash and burn, and she can't protect him. A few hours later, I get confirmation from my friend. Adrian's employment was terminated. Officially, it's violation of professional ethics. Unofficially, he's blacklisted from certain upmarket establishments. He'll have a tough time landing a similar position in the near future. That knowledge ignites an almost electric sense of vengeance inside me. For a second, I close my eyes, letting the feeling wash over me. Step 2 arrives the next day when Catherine finds an envelope on the table. Divorce papers. She looks from the envelope to me, voice trembling. You're really doing this? I nod, arms crossed. I am. She sinks into a chair, flipping through page after page. Each turn of paper seems to drain the color from her face. I thought maybe we could salvage. That you'd be willing to talk to a counselor with me or something. Rick, we spent 15 years together. which you flushed away the moment you brought him into our bed. I say, bitterness making my throat tight. I'm done, Kate. Her shoulders slump, tears gathering at the corners of her eyes. She signs. There's a hollow finality in the scratch of pen on paper, but we both know it's necessary. She hands the signed papers back to me with shaking fingers. I'll pack my things, she whispers. I watch her exit the room, a swirl of conflicting emotions raging inside me. This is my victory, my revenge. But it tastes bittersweet. The life I thought I had is gone, replaced by an uncertain horizon. That evening, as she gathers her belongings, I stand in the doorway of our bedroom, quietly observing. She glances at me over her shoulder, sorrow etched on her features. I really did love you, you know, she murmurs. I swallow the lump in my throat. You should have remembered that before you cheated. She nods, tears streaking down her cheeks. Zipping her suitcase, she hoists it off the bed. Our gazes lock. There's a sea of regret in her expression. Then she walks past me, and her footsteps echo down the hallway. The front door opens, closes, and the house plunges into a silent stillness. I exhale a ragged breath, moving to the bed, my bed again. The sun dips below the horizon, painting the sky in bruised purples and oranges. I'm alone. My chest feels hollow, but also oddly light. The plan is complete. Adrian has been stripped of his job, his dignity, and Catherine has lost everything. Her home, her marriage, the veneer of respectability she craved. I head to the living room, gaze wandering over the scattered cushions that I never quite put back in place. In a weird way, they're symbolic of this chaos, an interior undone by betrayal. Outside, the street lamp flickers, just like it did that night. I flick on the TV for noise, but nothing catches my attention. Eventually, I mute it. Memories crowd my thoughts. Catherine's smile when we first met, the way her eyes lit up at that corporate fundraiser. The moment I proposed, down on one knee in an overgrown garden. The honeymoon in Napa Valley, exploring vineyards hand in hand. Everything swirling together, overshadowed now by one betrayal. My phone lights up with a message from Danielle. How are you holding up? I type back the truth in one short line. It's done. She replies with a heart emoji, and call me when you can. I will. Maybe tomorrow, maybe in a week. Time feels fluid right now, like I'm caught in a transitional space before the next chapter begins. I sink onto the couch, staring at my hands. They tremble slightly, as though they remember the anger and heartbreak that consumed me. It's not gone. It's just shifted. A sense of finality envelops me, weighing on my shoulders. I wonder if I'll ever trust anyone again, or if this wariness will follow me into every new encounter. Yet, strangely, I'm not drowning in sorrow. There's a part of me that feels relief. A door slammed shut on a love that turned toxic. I can't get back the years I invested in a marriage that ended in a storm of lies, but I can rebuild. However painful, I made my choice. I orchestrated my revenge. Now, I'm free from both of them. The grandfather clock in the hall chimes. 8 o'clock. A normal night might have found Catherine and me in the kitchen cooking dinner together, or relaxing with a glass of wine. But that life belongs to the past. I let out a slow breath, telling myself to stand up, face forward. I gather the couch cushions and toss them back into place. It's not perfect, but at least it looks more like a home again. I glance around, the silence pressing close. Maybe I'll renovate, move furniture around, reclaim this place, or maybe I'll sell it all and start fresh somewhere else. The future is wide open now. Walking to the mantel, I pick up a framed photo, Catherine and me on our 10th anniversary. We're smiling, leaning into each other. I trace a finger over the glass, remembering the day we took that picture. A wave of melancholy grips me. Then, in one decisive motion, I set the photo face down. Not ready to toss it, not ready to keep it displayed either. I noticed the old book she once gave me, an antique library find. It's propped against another frame. I recall the notes I discovered inside, her scrawled secrets, half-formed confessions, plans that hinted at wanting an exit route with Adrian. My chest tightens at the memory. That's when I first suspected the depth of her deceit. My illusions shattered that day. Now, though, I can almost feel a calm acceptance. The heartbreak is there, but it's accompanied by the knowledge that I survived the worst of it. I overcame the humiliation, found a twisted way to even the score, and gave myself permission to walk away. Sinking into the recliner, I tilt my head back, letting my eyes drift shut. The hush of the house wraps around me. For the first time in weeks, I'm not rushing with anger or sinking with despair. I'm just breathing, present in this new, uncharted space. I remember an old quote from my father. Sometimes you have to tear down the walls before you can rebuild the house. The storm is over. Destruction remains, but from destruction, I can reconstruct something new. And as I sit there, listening to the quiet hum of my own heartbeat, I feel the faintest glimmer of hope. It's not the radiant hope I once had, but it's enough to remind me that life doesn't end here. I reach for my phone, open a blank note, and type a single line. Tomorrow begins the rest of my life. I save it. Then I let my hand fall to my lap. Outside, the night deepens. The lamp flickers once more, steadying into a constant glow. I exhale, lean back, and close my eyes, ready to embrace whatever comes next.